Today I have an idea. We're going to talk about the 3 stages of ego death. Or at least that's what it's going to be called on the YouTube. But we're going to go a little bit deeper than that. Because can the ego really die? Does it really die permanently? Well, we'll discuss it. So if you're interested, then by all means, watch this video. So I'll just preface this. We've been looking at the granthis lately in our yoga classes and that. And the granthis are basically these psychic knots of attachment. There are 3. I won't bore you with all of them now, or any of them in fact. And we, as we go down this path, we begin recognizing, don't we, that ego becomes more and more subtle. The granthis are to do with attachment. Attachment to identity is one aspect of that. And I've been looking into this a lot because I recognized, and it's part of the reason why I've just taken 3 weeks off or so, because it's like, actually, this whole channel has been a manifestation of my spiritual ego. Like this incessant need to continuously talk about spirituality. And so I had to take myself out for a little moment, just to check, just to see, is this still the Dharma for me? Is this still what I want to do? Is this still my way to serve? And honestly, the answer still hasn't come yet. But I'm just here offering, because why not? That's what Dharma's about, isn't it? Finding that thing that you can do well to serve other people, because really we're all one anyway. So any service that I give is service to God, regardless of who you think you are behind the screen. You're just another version of God dressed up in drag. And so I figure I might as well continue serving. I think I've just got my answer. Nonetheless, thanks for being my therapist. Let's talk about the 3 stages of disillusionment, of disentanglement with ego. And for this, let me use an analogy. You know how when we're in science class and the teacher teaches us about solid states, liquid states, and gaseous states? Well, we know that ice is the solid form of water, which is the liquid form of gas, yeah? Steam, sorry. Now, what transfers or what transforms these states? The answer is heat, pressure, isn't it? And so our analogy is much like this. There are 3 stages to ego disentanglement, ego disillusionment. And they start off in the first stage. We have a very solid ego, don't we? It's a solid, worldly ego that's very much who I am. I am this, and that's it. We're not aware that there's anything else in the reality apart from me. And I am this deeply, solidly entrenched ego identity form inside of myself. And this is how I relate to other people. I relate to other people as other egos, and I'm an ego, and I'm going to take what I can for my life, or whatever, from you. And this is quite a solid form of ego, isn't it? Because we don't know anything different. But of course, naturally, when you're on this spiritual path, or this freedom path, pressure, or pain, really, isn't it, will create, in a way, in the same way that the fire, or the pain, or the pressure, or whatever, would change that ice block, that solid state of ice, into water. In the same way, the ego's very similar. Pressure or pain is going to create it's going to turn a solid identity, and it's going to transform it into something more liquid. Something that's a bit more flexible. Maybe we could say this could be spiritual ego. And whilst water's great, it is more flexible than a solid ego. Of course, I can be this then, and I can also be that, and I'm beginning to see almost the unlimited possibility of that which I can be. I can wear the cap of ego, I can take it off. But the problem with water is, we know how water flows, isn't it? It tends to flow just in one certain direction, isn't it? So we might begin wearing the same egoic hat. For example, me, spiritual ego. I would wear the spiritual ego hat a lot of the time. Every conversation with friends would be about spirituality in some way, shape or form. And of course then in time that is also seen through. Maybe pain is created in that, or perhaps there's just a tiredness of directing my energy in that certain way. And so of course then the fire would turn that water into gas. Now the ego, perhaps the third stage of ego disentanglement, is here, where it's gone from water, which tends to flow in one certain way, it can flow in other ways but it's difficult to change its course, into gas, which can be pretty much anything at any time it wants to be, everywhere at any time it wants to be. Now in this third stage of egoic disillusionment, shall we say, we're recognizing the potential of that which I am is unlimited. I can play the role of teacher, I can wear that hat, that egoic hat of teacher, but I'm wearing it now so loosely that I'm not hugely identified with it, and I can take it off and then come back into that which I am before I go and play the role of mother, or father, son, boyfriend, girlfriend. These roles aren't so tight anymore. It's like just a thinly veiled cloth, because the identification with ego, I'm more like the gas behind it. I don't have to be a certain set structure inside of myself. I can be this one moment, instantly switching to this the next moment, as and when the moment requires it from me. We almost become, in a way, a chameleon with our egos. It's like, I can wear this hat, I can be this colour if you need me to be, I can be this colour if you need me to be. But of course, I'm never wearing those hats for too long. And then we're coming back to that which we are before the hat was put on. Now, hopefully this makes sense. This is the way I see it, because I've gone from such a dense identity in my life to one that was more flexible, more fluid, and then one that can be almost anything that it needs to be, because it's not scared to step into the silence. Not afraid to step into the silence and be in that silence with new people, with clients, and then wear the hat that's most appropriate, or take the ego form that's most appropriate in that moment. Of course, we all need ego, isn't it? To be able to relate with the world. It's just now it's thin. Now we're not needing to be that so much, and we can just wear the hat as and when we need it. I hope this helps. Lots of love. Namaste.